We are on page 96 of the Mishnah. I'm using the Koran, thank you Gilbert. I'm using Koran edition just for this illustration, so hopefully it will help us understand. The Mishnah dealing with a fellow that erroneously betrothed 5 different women in 5 different times. So if you look at the colors, they have a different color on purpose. So they're using here a 5 biblical name: Machla, Noah, Hogla, Tirza, and Milka. Now let's look at the color. You see here, this is a one have a mother, father, mother, father, mother, father, and purposely you see different colors. Now here the situation, if you look at the colors, these women are sisters, but they are sisters only from the father. This one, you see the black and the other color, they are sisters, the sisters from the mother. This one, they are sisters from the father, and this one, sisters from the mother. So the Mishnah says, I'm just reading the Mishnah and using this illustration. They said, Amru lo meta ishtecha, nasa achota me'avia. So they told him that your wife, the first wife, passed away, and by accepting that witness, what did he do? He married the sister from the father. The second one left for overseas, Meta. The second one, he heard that she passed, and she married her sister from the mother. So if you look carefully, you see that the third one has nothing to do with the first one. And then, v'nasai tachota me'avia. So now he married the sister from the father. That's the fourth one. Meta v'nasai tachota me'ima. The fourth one, he heard at the past. So he married the sister from the mother. And after all of that happened, it turns that all those witnesses was wrong. They make a mistake in the report, which happened, right? So the issue is, each one of them, it's issue of achot ishto. The Torah tells us in Leviticus 18, a person cannot marry the sister of his wife while his wife is alive. So they said, mutar berishona ubashlishit ubachamishit. He allowed to have back the first, third, and fifth. Why? Because is no kirva, is no blood relations between them. Upotot tsarotehem. If there are co-wives and the husband passed with no children, the brother come and he did either ייבום or וחליצה, all the other wives are exempt from וחליצה and ייבום. Ve'asu, however, he prohibited for the second one and the fourth one. Why? Because they are sisters, and the sisters are prohibited to marry. Ve'en bi'at achat mehem poteret tzarata. And the relation with any one of them is not, thank you, is not exempt the co-one, because it's not considered his wife. Ve'im ba ala shniya. But if he had relations with the second woman, which means now לאחר מיתת ראשונה, which means then it's clear, it turned clear that after he married the second one was with a permission, which means after his first one for real passed away, mutar bashniya ubarvi'i, he can marry the second and the fourth one. Upotrat tsarotehem, they exempt the co-wife from וחליצה and ייבום in the case that the husband passed and then with no children, and then his brother made ייבום or וחליצה for one of them. ואסור בשלישית ובחמישית, he cannot marry the third and the fifth, as we explained. ואין ביאת אחת מהם פותרת צרתה, and the relation between the Yavam and one of them not exempt the co-wives. Now, the truth is, soon you see that is a heavy machloket rishonim between Rashi and Rambam, but before we go there, we now travel to a different avenue because the Gemara elaborates on that. We go now to the issue of 9-year-old, meaning a minor that have relation with a woman. Now, these subjects we're going to travel from now to the end of this chapter. The subject is, physically speaking, it's a possibility for a minor to have relation. Biblically speaking, rabbinic speaking, we treated in the Jewish legal matter in a different treatment the age of, let's say, from 6 to 9, or 9 and 1 day, from 9 and 1 day to 13, and from 13 and onward. Okay? So they said, בין 9 שנים ויום אחד, הוא פוסל על ידי אחים, ואחים פוסלים על ידו. Meaning, if it was 2 brothers, let's trace a biblical situation. In the Torah, we have a situation of Onan and Sheila. We all remember that from the book of Bereshit, right? Mm-hmm. So passed. Onan did the Levirate marriage with Tamar, even was a receiving the Torah, but it was a manner of Levirate marriage. And then Onan passed with no children. So we have now and Onan, 2 brothers that passed away with no children. Yehuda sent away Tamar because Sheila was a minor. So trace the situation for our case that Sheila is 9 years and 1 day. So if he act in a manner of ייבום, if he a Levirate marriage with Tamar, that basically created an atmosphere that if there are more brothers, if there are other oldest brothers, so let's say back to our subject, let's say it was back to Er passed away, and instead of Onan doing it, somehow it happened that Sheila did it. So by having a manner of ייבום with Tamar, Sheila automatically excluded Onan from having Tamar as a wife, okay? And vice versa, והאחים פוסלים על ידו. The same way, the other way. אלא הוא פוסל תחילה, והאחים פוסחים תחילה וסוף. כיצד? בין 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא ליבמתו, the season affected all of us, right? Yesterday I was teaching in a college, and half of the class was coughing. It's crazy, full house class, everybody just taking turn. Anyway, בין 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא ליבמתו, פסל על ידי אחים. So he basically disqualified the יבמה from having ייבום. באו עלי האחים ועשו במאמר, נתנו גט, חלצו, פוסלים על ידו. So you have a big disputation, מחלוקת ראשונים, if מאמר is giving koach, is giving, or morid koach. What does that mean? We all understand the concept by now, the ma'amar. Ma'amar is the first stage that shows sincerity. It's like in a business world, you give a letter of credit that shows that you're about to purchase a product. So lehavdil, in our case, it's a first stage. So Rashi said, Heyot ubiat katan lo osa eshet ish. Since a intercourse of a minor did not consider as a violation of having relation with a married woman, the same applies to Yevamah. Biblically speaking is nothing. Rabbinically speaking, it's a matter of ma'amar. That's Rashi's view. The Rambam said they have a concept of gmirut da'at. When it's come to kiddushin, the act of betrothal, you have to have the full mindset. So he said, when it's come to bi'at katan, with a minor act in a manner of cohabitation, it is a matter of kinyan, it is a matter of acquisitions, yet he said, as far as the term of the Torah, lo mechayvim mita, it doesn't receive any death punishment or any severe punishment, but it's considering ishud gmura, and therefore asiyat ma'amar al yedei echad ha'achim posel et hayavam. The Rambam hold that if one of the brothers made ma'amar with her, that make the yavan disqualified. So now the Gemara elaborates on that. It said, Alu. So the Gemara said, Atu kulu lav lachar mita rishona ninu. Is all of this, that to say that all of them, all the other cases in the Mishnah, are not dealing with the situation after the death of the first woman. So Amar Rav Sheshet, לאחר מיתה ראשונה ודאי, after the definite death of the first one, which means the Mishnah means that this did not follow a rumor that she was dead, but was positively established that she has actually died, which means it's not just a hearsay evidence. And that's the way the Nimukei Yosef explained that, because otherwise you cannot comprehend that concept in a Mishnah. בין 9 שנים ויום אחד, בתחילה פסיל וסוף לא פסיל. Give me explanation. What is that? מלבטה לרב זביד בר הושעיה, העושה מאמר ביבמתו, ואחר כך בא אחיו בין 9 שנים ויום אחד, עליה פסלה. So the Rambam said that only biblically speaking have a matter of acquisition. אמרי ביאה פסיל, אפילו בסוף, מאמר בתחילה פסיל, בסוף לא פסיל. Here we have to differentiate between bi'ah and ma'amar. Bi'ah by yavam katan, by a minor yavam, that's make it disqualified. Even at the end. Ma'amar, it's only the beginning, not the end. So, meaning later we see in the Gemarrah that the sages put a special establishment of ma'amar in yavam that is 9 years, 1 day. So the Gemarrah challenged that, said, bi'ah filu basof פסיל והקטני אלא שהוא, meaning the minor, פוסל תחילה והן, meaning the oldest brothers, תחילה וסוף כיצד. Here we explain, בין 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא על יבמתו. The key word is the בא, meaning it was a cohabitation, and the Tosfot said that the manner of acquisition is not midoraita, is not biblical, it's only mid-Rabbanan by the sages. So the Gemara said, and basically that's contradicted what Rav Zvid Bar Oshaya said. So the Gemara responded and said, Chasuri mechasra ve'hachei ktanim. There is something missing in the Mishnah, and that's the way we should learn it. בין 9 שנים ויום אחד, הוא פוסל תחילה, והן פוסלים תחילה וסוף. Okay, that's what we said. במה דברים אמורים? That the minor make disqualification in the first stage. That's applied by the ma'amar, which means by the minor we differentiate between tchila and sof. We go specifically by the ma'amar of the minor. Aval bi'ah, however, if it's a cohabitation of 9 years and 1 day, poselet afilu basof, disqualified even at the end. How? Keitzad. בין 9 שנים ויום אחד הבא ליבמתו, which means after one of the brothers did ma'amar, then the minor came in and he have cohabitation with her. Pasal al yedei achim. He basically, by doing so he make a disqualification to all the other brothers. So by understanding this phase of the Mishnah, is no longer contradiction to what Rav Zvid Bar Oshaya said. So the Gemara said, "Mi etle is ma'amar klal." You're going to tell me that the 9-year-old boy have the ability to perform levirate betrothal at all, that will have any effect with regard to eligibility of his brothers to levirate marriage? והתניא, בין 9 שנים ויום אחד פוסל בדבר אחד, והאחים פוסלים על ידו בארבעה דברים. You have to differentiate between minor and adult. Minor can make disqualification in one manner, versus the others is a four. הוא פוסל על ידי אחים בביאה. Only a manner of cohabitation created a disqualification. והאחים פוסלים על ידו, here is the list of 4 things. Number 1, בביאה, by relations. Number 2, במאמר, which is, as we said, a levirate betrothal. Number 3, beget, a bill of divorce. Number 4, by the וחליצה. So it means that they from this braita that katan who perform ma'amar, a levirate betrothal, it's not in effect even batchila, even at the first place. So the Gemara said, bi'ad defasla, the real relation with the minor, which disqualified his brother, applies to what? Ben batchila, ben basof, whether it's the first of the last. And here is the idea of the ruling. He said, psikale, this is something that is total definite, which means the Tana can state that the halacha is unambiguous and unqualified matter. However, ma'amar, if the katan did a levirate betrothal, the batchila pasil, basof lo basil lo psikale, it's not a definite, and it's not and it's basically unqualified matter. So therefore, we have to go and explain the whole circumstance. Itmar name אמר רב יהודה אמר שמואל, יש לו גט, וכן אמר רב תחליפה ברב דימי, יש לו מאמר, which means he can make disqualification of the Yevamah by giving her the get. And Rav Tachlifa Barav Dimi said, by doing a Levirate betrothed, he has the ability to perform that, and therefore he can make her disqualified by doing so. Proof to that, Tani Lameach, יש לו get, ויש לו מאמר דברי רבי מאיר. רבי מאיר said that he have both, even as a minor. He said that he can have the get, and he has the ability to give a bill of divorce, and he has the ability to perform a levirate betrothal, and that's basically the view of Rabbi Meir, and that match what Shmuel said, that he said that he have even get. So the Gemara asks, we see a challenge, a contradiction in the statement of Rabbi Meir. וסבר רבי מאיר יש לו get, you mean to say that 9 years old have the effect, the capability of having a get, והתניא, עשו ביאת בן 9 כמאמר בגדול. The sages compare or treated relation of 9 years old the same as an adult that passed the bar mitzvah, that does a levirate marriage, the same. רבי מאיר אומר, עשו חליצת בן 9 כגט בגדול. Now we compare the act of release, חליצה, for 9 years old, the same as an adult giving a bill of divorce. So therefore, the same way as the get of an old Yavam disqualified the Yevamah from having ייבום, the same manner that חליצה of minor Yavam can total release and change the status. V'im ita, if according to Rabbi Meir it is true that this minor have a get, why you need to compare the chalitza of a minor to a get of an adult? Litnei kegito, you can say that that's the same as he himself gave a bill of divorce. The Rosh said that question you can ask over the sages, because they said that a bi'at ben teisha, someone who's 9 years old, is the same as ma'amar of an adult. And the Rosh explained that the way that we understand the sages is the same as we understand soon Rabbi Meir. And he said, Amar Rav Una, meaning basically that Rabbi Meir hold that get of a minor, it's not disqualified the Yevamah. Amar Rav Una breder Rav Yeshua, itla, which means he hold that this minor Yavam can have the get, according to Rabbi Meir, vezutar, meaning he hold that this have a less powerful than the bill of divorce of an adult Yavam, and that's the way Ravuna explained soon. So the idea is that the ability of minor is smaller, less than get of an adult. Rabbi Meir teaches us that chalitza of a minor is the same as a get of an adult. Le Rabban Gamliel, now we explain it. Le Rabban Gamliel, according to Rabban Gamliel, the Amar who said en get achar get. So at the beginning of the 5th parak, we learn on page 50 that Rabban Gamliel hold that if you have Yevamah that fall before 2 brothers and each of them gave her a get, so is no effect to the get the second brother gave, and therefore he is prohibited to marry the relative of the Yevamah. Later we explain it on page 51. So usually when the Yavam give a get to his Yevamah, by the rabbinic view it's considered his divorcee, and therefore he is prohibited to marry her relatives. Hanemi that apply begadol achar gadol, that a mature adult follow another mature adult that gave a get. Vekatan achar katan, or a minor follow minor, because these 2 bill of divorce are equal. So Rabban Gamliel said the second one has no effect after the first one. Versus Aval Gadol Achar Katan. But if you have an adult, mature adult that follow a minor that serve a get, mehane, the get, the bill of divorce have an effect, because as we explained, the oldest one has more koach, has more capability than the minor, which means that this Yavam, who is a mature adult, is prohibited to marry the immediate family of the Yevama. לרבנן דאמרי יש גט אחר גט, הנמילה בגדול, אחר, that גדול. So, or בקטן אחר קטן. According to the majority of the sages who said that there is a get after get, this apply only on the case of an adult after an adult, or a minor after a minor. אבל קטן אחר גדול, but a minor after an adult, לא מהנה, it's not effective, because its bill of divorce from the minor is weaker than an adult. So that's the idea why Meir said that you have to establish a וחליצה for a 9-year-old, like a bill of divorce of an adult. He wants to emphasize that a subsequent bill of divorce of a minor is no account. So min וחליצה בקטן כמו גט של גדול. Now we're going to page 96b at the Mishnah. בין 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא לבנתו. You have a 9-year-old boy that have relation with his יבמה. ואחר כך בא עליה אחיו שהוא בין 9 שנים ויום אחד. And then his brother did it. So basically by doing so, פוסל על ידו. So the second brother created disqualification to do ייבום, because the sages make the bi'ah as a ma'amar, and there is a concept that's called yesh ma'amar achar ma'amar. You can have one follow the other. Rabbi Shimon omer lo posel. Rabbi Shimon said that the second brother did not disqualify the others. The Gemara explained later that it's safek, it's a quandary, it's not clear. If you're considering as a total bi'ah, it's an act of cohabitation in effect of the term or not, ma'amar for sure is not. בין 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא לבנתו ואחר כך בא על צרתה, if 9-year-old have relation with his yevama, and then you have an arrival wife, you have relation with her, פוסל על ידי עצמו. So by doing so, he basically excluded the first yevama for do ייבום, because the second one it's considered maaseh ייבום, and that disqualified the first one. Because the idea is, if you look at the biblical term, a person cannot do bniyat shte batim, he cannot build 2 houses. Get, by the rabbinic view, it's the same as וחליצה, so therefore he can do ייבום. Rabbi Shimon omer lo posel. According to Rabbi Shimon's view, it's not considering ma'amar, it's only safek, it's only predicament, and therefore, if you go lekule alma by everyone, it's not any chalot, it's not any effect in both cases. תניא אמר עליהם רבי שמעון לחכמים, אם ביאה ראשונה ביאה, ביאה שנייה אינה ביאה. So if you tell me that the first relation it's an effect, so the second one is not an effect to disqualify the yevama. ואם ביאה ראשונה אינה ביאה, if you don't consider the first relation as a relation, ביאה שנייה גם אינה ביאה. So the second one is also not in effect. So therefore, either way, it doesn't have any effect by the second relation to disqualify this yevama that have relation with the first one. But not in the local בן עזאי. דתניא בן עזאי אומר, יש מאמר אחר מאמר בשני יבמים ויבמה אחת, ואין מאמר אחר מאמר בשתי יבמות ויבם אחד. So he said that if you talk about a Levirate betrothal after Levirate betrothal, so if they perform Levirate betrothal with her, the action are effective and she's forbidden to both of them. But if there's no Levirate betrothal after one after the other in 2 Yevamot, so therefore if he perform a Levirate betrothal with one of them, he has completed the bond. However, the idea of the what the Mishnah said that 9-year-old have relation with the two Yevamot is effective. So because that relation of this boy in this age, it's considered like a levirate betrothed, and the Tanai Mishnah evidently maintain that the levirate betrothed after levirate betrothed, even in the case of one Yavam. The next Mishnah, which is the last Mishnah of Hayisha Rabbah. Hayisha Rabbah, it's like a Rabbah, it's like a Rebbetzin, right? She have a lot of knowledge. Okay, so the Mishnah said, בן 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא ליבמתו ומת. If a boy, 9 years old, and one day had relation with his Yevamah, and then he passed, so she needs to receive חולצת ולא מתייבמת. She can receive וחליצה but not ייבום. So here the Mishnah dealing with the case of 3 brothers. Let's call it names: Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven passed with no children. His wife fall for ייבום before the brothers, which is Shimon and Levi. Shimon was a young man, is 9-year-old. He have relation with the wife of the Reuven, and there he passed away, Shimon. So the Mishnah teaches us that the 3rd brother, which is Levi, cannot act in a manner of ייבום, but he needs to do וחליצה, because the bi'ah of Shimon, the relation of Shimon, is not considered a total ייבום. It's only ma'amar because of his age restriction. So rabbinically speaking, she is called in that language the wife of 2 deceased, eshet shte metim, because the second one is katan. Here you have the ma'amar, but it doesn't have hafka'ah of the rishon. So therefore, the Mishnah said choletzet velo mityabemet. Now, if this minor 9 and 1 day boy nasa isha vamet, arei zo ptura, so she is total exempt from both, from ייבום and וחליצה, because mideoraita, biblically speaking, is nothing. She's not considering his wife because of his age. But as far as the rabbinics said, so we said that the question is if there is some manner of acquisition by the rabbinic view. Tosfot said it's not considering as znut, and the sages said here the word of Tosfot, the leka isua lo chashiv abiyat znut u'mitzvah me'ika lasi isha levno katan. It's a mitzvah to marry a wife of the minor son. This is a sort in Tractate Sanhedrin 76. ועליו הכתוב אומר, from this pasuk, וידעת כי שלום ההולך. So it is a manner of effect by the rabbinic term. But as far as the ייבום and וחליצה, the Mishnah said that she is total exempt. בן 9 שנים ויום אחד שבא לבמתו מי שהגדיל נשא אישה אחרת, and then he have relation with his Yevamah. And then when he grew up, guess what? He find another one and he married her. But then vamet, and then he passed away with no children. So now you have 2 women. One, you have a manner of cohabitation when he was a little boy, and the second one when he's a grown adult of the second one. And since he passed with no children, so he said, אם לא ידע את הראשונה מי שהגדיל, הראשונה חולצת ולא מתייבמת. If he get known the first one, and then he get mature and he marry a different woman. So therefore, the first one needs to do וחליצה and not ייבום. והשנייה and the second one have the choice, או חולצת או מתייבמת. She can do either perform וחליצה or enters into a levirate marriage, as she is his full-fledged wife. Rabbi Shimon said, the brother of the deceased Yavam, meyabem, the brother consummate levirate marriage with whichever woman he chooses. וחולץ לשנייה, and he perform וחליצה to the second one. מייבם לאיזשהו יוצא וחולץ לשנייה. So the Mishnah concluded and said, אחד שהוא בן 9 שנים ויום אחד. So both, a boy that is 9 years old and 1 day, and also, ואחד שהוא בן 20 שלו הביא שתי שערות, and even 20 years old, that not developed a true public hair, which means is not show the maturity. So they have the same status as 9-year-old, and therefore the act of cohabitation is not considered a total act. The Rashi explained that we basically put the two cases as one. So even it's a huge age difference between 9 and 20, but since the 20 don't show maturity, we put him halachically in the same category. Amar Rava, Hada Amur Rabbanan. Rava said, what the sages said, that if a wife have zikat shnei yevamim michlat chalitza ייבום elo beyama, that she needs to do a וחליצה, a release, but not ייבום, לא תימא היכא דאיכא צרה. So you have to say, it's not only the case when there's a rival wife from the second husband. דאיכא למגזר משום צרה, because there is a notion to put a decree because of the co-wife. The ha-ha-ha, because of the circumstance of Mishnah, leika tzara, you don't have the rival wife, and therefore the Mishnah teaches us anyway, michlatz chalza yabumei lo meyama. So he need to give a release, but purposely, but prohibited to do a Levite marriage. So you see here that the sages particularly prohibited that manner of ייבום, even the circumstance that it wasn't any rival, any co-wife to that Yevamah, that have a double zika. So you have here the situation of two Yevamim by the rabbinic view. The second passed and he left two wives. One is the original wife. The second one is from the other brother. So now they have zikat shtei yevamim, so he cannot have the ייבום. Why? Because in one hand you have his wife, which is the Rishona, and you have this ma'amar that is rabbinic, and the brother, if you do ייבום, or if he doesn't do ייבום, guess what? People will say that you have two people that come from one house and they did ייבום. So here you see that only if you have one wife, so the first one passed, and therefore you do the ma'amar, because that's the rabbinic decree that you should do וחליצה and not ייבום. Now the Mishnah said further, 9-year-old boy married נשא אישה ומת, he married woman and he passed, so she is exempt from what? From both, from Levite marriage and וחליצה. Tanina lehad tanu Rabbanan. Here we have a source, rabbinic source. So they said shote vekatan. If you have someone who is imbecile, meaning someone who is not 100% there, and a minor, shenas'u vametu, that a married woman and they passed away with no children, neshotehem, their wives, pturot mina chalitza u'mipnei ייבום, because is no effect to that manner of betrothal. The third situation in the Mishnah, ben teisha u'mishehigdil. So you said here 9 years and 1 day boy that he had relation with his Yevamah, and then when he grew up he married another one and he passed. So they said v'yasu bi'ad ben teisha kema'amar begadol. Why we don't make the ruling of 9 years and 1 day boy the same as ma'amar with Levite betrothed of an adult. V'tidache tzara mi'ibum. And as a result, basically you have this co-wife and override the requirement of the rival wife enter to a Levite marriage. That's basically following the halacha of the rival wife of a woman who has the bond of two Yevamim. So the Gemara said, Rav lo asu bi'ad ben teisha kema'amar begadol. Rav said that they did not establish the relation of 9-year-old to be like a Levite betrothed of an adult in any way. So they said that even for overriding the rival wife from ייבום, Ushmuel amar asu ve'asu. Shmuel said absolutely yes, they did it which means the 9-year-old is same as מאמר Levirate betrothed of an adult, וכן אמר רבי יוחנן עשו ועשו. So the Gemara said ויעשו. So you're going to tell me that 9 years old it's established as a מאמר בגדול, and as a result this co-wife, this rival wife can be prohibited to have a Levirate marriage. That's what we study in the third chapter. So the answer is the Tanai. This is disputation between the early sages if the rival wife is prohibited to do a Levirate marriage or not. Hach Tana ve'arba'a achin gazar, that the Tana said over there that is decree to prohibit the ייבום of the one who have a double zikah. Why? Mishum tzara, because of the co-wife, because it's appear that they are go for ייבום one, and the tzara, the idea is that it's getting together, and therefore it applies to both, to the wife and the co-wife. Ve'ashmi'inan, and the Tanakh teaches us that begadol, if you have a manner of mamar in the old meaning mature adult, vehu adin bekatan, even the matter of sexual relation of a minor. And he said, v'hai de'amar gadol mishum de begadol ktani kai, v'hai tana de'acha svira lei asu ve'lo gazar mishum tzara. So therefore they say that the co-wife can do a Levirate marriage. V'ashmuinan bekatan v'hu adin begadol. So you learn this minor, and for sure you go by an adult, mature adult. V'hai de'kamar bekatan de bekatan kai, because we occupy ourselves with the halachot of a minor, so that's the reason why you use that term. So now, because of this response of Rabbi Yochanan, it was a big turmoil, and this is a painful story. Azal Rabbi Lazar Amar Lishmata Bei Midrash. Rabbi Lazar ben Pedat, which was a disciple of Rabbi Yochanan, he said what he heard from Rabbi Yochanan, which means his response to this contradiction in a Mishnayot, he said it in a Beit HaMidrash. Velo Amara Mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan. But he did not mention, he didn't give, how do you say in a modern day, he didn't give Rabbi Yochanan the credit. Okay? Shamar Rabbi Yochanan Ikpad. Rabbi Yochanan was unhappy with that. Soon you see why. Ul legabei. Ikpad in general, it means he was upset. He was
insulted.
Right? Okay. Ul legabei Rabbi Ami ve Rabbi Asi. So Rabbi Ami ve Rabbi Asi came try to appease him. Rabbi Yochanan. Amru lelo kach haya maaseh beit hakneset shel Tvera. That's not the story that happened in Tiberias synagogue. Beneger sheyesh berosho glus tera. So they say that this neger, it's like a thick knob, that a bolt that secures a door in a place, that have a thick knob and its end. So the issue here, it's they dealing with the Shabbat in the synagogue. שנחקו בו רבי אלעזר ורבי יוסי עד שקראו ספר תורה בחמתן. So until they get so angry with each other, so the big question was if you can use that knob to lock the door, and because they have such a disputation, if the sages put a decree that you should not use it to lock the door, or because it's appear like a bonnet, like someone who built it, and Rabbi Elazar said that you cannot do it. Rabbi Yossi said because it can be fit to others, so you can use it. It doesn't appear to Maaseh Binyan. So because they get so angry, they tear Sefer Torah. So you mean to say that they really tear the Sefer Torah? So they said they're involved with such a, who knows, screaming, shouting, fighting, that without intent the Sefer Torah was torn. So it said, Vayasham Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, when he saw what's going on, when they get so angry with each other, Amar Tameh ani im lo yeh bet knesset zo avodah zara. I'm wondering, because of this machloket, because of this fight, if this synagogue will not turn to be idolater worship. And this unfortunate event is a sign that this place is unsuitable for a synagogue. וכן הווה, and indeed, this eventually occurred. So Hadar, so Rabbi Yomi and Rabbi Yassi want to remind Rabbi Yochanan what happened as a result of anger, and in order to appease him, then here he said, the Gemara continued, Hadar ikpad fei. When he heard that, Rabbi Yochanan grew even angrier, saying, Amar chavruta nami, you are even making us colleagues now, which is those two sages were peers. So Rabbi Lazar is merely my student. So how do you compare it to someone who is my disciple? Ulegabe Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi. Amar lo, he quoted from Yoshua, the book of Joshua, chapter 11, verse 15. Kasher tziva Hashem et Moshe avdo, the way that the Lord commanded his servant Moses, ken tziva Moshe et Yoshua, that is the way Moses transmitted to his student Yoshua. וכן עשה יהושע, לא הסיר דבר מכל אשר ציווה השם את משה. And Yoshua did not change anything from all the commandment that God commanded Moses. So it means that Joshua teach everything that Moses taught him. וכי על כל דבר שאמר יהושע, אמר להם, כך אמר לי משה. You mean to say that every line Yoshua teaches people, he said, that's the way I heard from my teacher Moses. אלא יהושע יושב דורש סתם. He just delivered his talk. והכל יודעים שתורתו של משה. And everyone knows, since he is רבו מובהק, because he is total his student, devoted student, so it's clear that he just basically repeats and continue delivering transmitting what he heard from his teacher. אף כאן רבי אלעזר תלמידך יושב דורש סתם, והכל יודעים של חי. So everyone knows that it's you. So that's appease Rabbi Yochanan. אמר להם, מפני מה אי אתם יודעים לפייס כבן אידי חברינו. He says, why you guys doesn't know to appease the same as Ben Idi? So the Gemara answer with the question, that's typical Jewish, he answer with the question. He says, Rabbi Yochanan, Maitama kapid kulehai. Why he was all angry? Because the Mishnah said in Pirkei Avot, chapter 6, Mishnah 6, anyone who said something and give a credit to his fellow, he bringing a redemption to the world. So it means, the Maharsha said, that was the key idea. It wasn't his ego, is the idea that that's the proper manner, that's the proper way, that you're giving credit to those whom you're quoting, right? So they said, the Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, so the Gemara respond, because Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav, said, Mai dechtiv, what King David meant when he said in Psalm 61, Agura be'oalcha olamim, he asked the Almighty that he wants, I will dwell in your tent in worlds. Ela Amar David Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, King David said before the Almighty, Ribono shel Olam, Master of the universe, Yehi Ratzon, let it be your will. 97, Shiomru Dvar Shmu'a Mipi Ba'olam Hazeh. So they said the manner of halacha in my name in this world, and therefore it's considered like I live in both, the world above and the world below. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Listen to this, is very important. He said, Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, כל תלמיד חכם שומרים דבר שמוע מפי בעולם הזה, שפתותיו דובבות בקבר. So anytime you quoted a great rabbi, Torah scholar, etc., so his soul who dwell in the up lofty heaven world, it's like, as Tosfot said in page 96, it's like his lips moving in the grave, which means that, again, we're using anthropomorphic term, human term, that the idea is that his neshama have a joy. The Aruch LaNer explained that in the soul of the deceased that was here in this world, they have some attachment in the afterlife, which means that in a joy in a both world. אמר רבי יצחק בן זעירא ויתמה שמעון נזירה, מה יקראה? What do you meant by saying in the Song of Songs chapter 7, וחיכך כהן הטוב הולך לדודי למישרים דובב שפתי שנים. Again, this is a language of euphemism. King Solomon said, and the roof of your mouth is like the best wine that gilds down smoothly for my beloved, moving gently the lips of those who are asleep. So he said, Kechomer shel anavim, it's like a pile of grapes left to warm before they are pressed. Meaning, כיוון שמניח אדם אצבעו עליו, מיד דובב, when the justice one places his finger on it, immediately it moves. So the wine bursts through the whole pile, shakes. So the same way here, after Midei Chachamim, the same applied to the Torah scholars. So he said, כיוון שאומרים דבר שורה מפיהם בעולם הזה, שפתותיהם מדובבות בקבר. You said something on their name in this world, the lip mouth in their grave. So that's the idea that Rabbi Yochanan wanted, that the Torah statement to be attributed to him, so that he'll earn eternal life. Now the Mishnah concluded and said, אחד בן 9 שנים. And we compare the 9 years old to 20 years old. ורמינו בן 20 שנה שלא הביא שתי שערות יביאו, ראיה שהוא בן 20 והוא הסריס. לא חולץ ולא מייבם. Otherwise is saris, so he cannot do neither וחליצה nor ייבום, because he is not mature. בת 20 שנה שלא הביאה שתי שערות, if she's 20 and the husband die with no children, יביאו ראיה שהיא בת 20. So they have to be prove that she's 20. Those days it wasn't, a census bureau or the computer identifications. V'hiya ailonit, that's the term of ailonit, that one cannot have children, and therefore לא חולצת ולא מתייבמת, she cannot do neither one. האיתמר עלה, אמר רב שמואל בר יצחק אמר רב, והוא שנולדו לו סימני סריס, someone who is born in that dysfunctional disability of saris, so it's considered a minor. Even he reached the age of 20 years of age and doesn't have a two public hair. So that's basically, we derive from the Mishnah in Tractate Nida, so it's someone who is born with this sign of sarisut. So the question is, in the case where it does not develop a sign of saris, until what age is considered a minor? So they said, Tani dever Rav Chia ad rov shnotav, which means that they said in Psalm 90, Yemei shnotenu, our life is 70 years. So they said we derive most of the years of a person 36, which is like a half. So 36 years old, that doesn't bring a two public hair, it's not considered anymore as a minor. And even it doesn't have the simanei saris, it's considered as an adult and as a saris. So there are some said 35 years and 1 day. That's the Rambam in Chodeshut chapter 2, and there are others. Anyway, Kiatu lekamei derava, in general it's 36. Kiatu lekamei derava, when the Rava brought the different circumstances of people that reached the age of 20 and did not bring the two public hair, so he was look at their body, which means he wants to see what's the reason that did not reach the maturity. Ikachush, if he see that he's extremely skinny, amar lehu zilu avrihu. He asked people to add more weight to that person. So maybe when he grew healthier and in that sense a little fatter, that maybe create the maturity in his body. V'ibari, and if he is carry weight or even overweight, amar lehu zilu akhishu, go on the program of weight loss. So the hane simanim, because those hair that needed, זימנים דנטרי מחמת חישותה וזימנים דנטרי מחמת בריאותה. Guess what? These signs, the public hairs of the maturity, sometimes they fall off due to the thinness and sometimes they fall off due to the fatness. So it's a serious possibility that the shape of the body is adjusted when you bring the proper weight, proper maturity, and bring the status of the saris to change. So basically, there's a Gemarrah in Baba Batra that tells us that as long as the physical check is okay, then you can term sarisut in a definite way. Otherwise, you can attribute it to other physical lack of capability, and maybe by adding more weight or reducing weight, you can create automatically the maturity of a person. Adran alach haisha rabba.
Boyachem leshuloim malachai yeshuloim malachai